Now, I don't know about you, but I love new gadgets and I love finding new and creative ways to improve my live streams and my productions. So when Middle Things approached me and asked me to do a review on their camera and their gimbal control system, now that piqued my interest. This is something I've been following for a little while and something that I'm keen to try out to see if this is going to be something used in my productions moving forward and maybe even yours. I've got a few ideas of how these could be used in ways that maybe aren't ways that you might have thought of. So stay tuned, I'm going to crack these open, I'm going to see what they have come up with. Future Ryan here. I'm going to be honest with you. This has actually been a really difficult review to do, not because it sucks, but because it's actually really, really good. And there's so many things I want to show you, so I've been trying to splice it down into smaller things, but look, what I've done is I'm going to split this up into chapter markers. I'm about to go into an unboxing so you can see what it comes with and the build quality and all this really good stuff. So stick around for the whole video, it's really awesome. But if you want to, feel free to skip ahead to the bits that you're looking for. But yeah, look, spoiler alert, this thing's great. Let's get back to the tape. Now, as these are still sealed, I haven't actually used these yet. So we're going to come along for the ride together and figure out how they can be best used. So what have they sent us? So in the big box here, we have got the middle remote. Now this is the actual remote control, which you can use to control your gimbal. There's even a lot of other ways that these can be used as well. So really keen to try these out. And we've got the APC-R. So this is the actual wireless camera control system. So this has Wi-Fi built in and Bluetooth built in to talk to your Blackmagic camera, as well as Ethernet and a lot of things. Now these will talk to a DJI gimbal. So we'll talk to the RS2 and the RS3 Pro, which just got released as well. So we've got a gimbal adapter for that to work too. And we've also got the middle tally. So this is actually an external tally light, which will be able to attach anywhere to your system. So if you need a tally, that will show up there. So let's crack these open and find out what's inside them. So let's start with the middle remote. The middle remote is something that I am super keen to try out. Now in the box here, we have a USB-C to USB-A cable, it seems, as well as some documentation. One thing I will say is that the actual, the build of these boxes and stuff so far, it all seems very, very professional. It doesn't look like something that's been built in someone's grandma's basement, but so far it's looking really good. So we've got the USB-C cable, and here is the actual gimbal controller itself. So first impressions, everything feels about what you'd expect. You've got some 8 rotary encoders here, which all have push down buttons as well. You've got 4 OLED screens as well as 4 buttons. And I believe these all light up too. And you've got your pan, tilt and zoom. So you've got a left and right there, as well as a pan and tilt. I love the wood finish on the bottom. That's a beautiful finish there. And you've got your USB-C to host at the bottom there. So that does look very nice. So I'll put this to the side for now, and we're going to have a look at the next few bits. So we'll have a look at the middle tally. Now I'm actually quite excited for this because as a Steadicam operator and a job operator, there are quite often a lot of times where I'm trying to get an external tally light on the camera. So when I'm filming, I don't actually have to use any of the viewfinders to actually get a light on it. So when I'm doing Steadicam, I'll typically have a little diode thing which is put onto a light, which will then light up on my monitor once the camera goes live. So in the box here, we have a USB-C to USB-C cable. All looks good there. And we also have, it's actually really small and really light. So this is the little LED light there, USB-C on the bottom. And it even comes with a little bit of 3M Velcro there as well, which is a very nice touch. But it weighs absolutely nothing. So this is a really nice touch to be able to put a tally light wherever you need. So we'll also open up the gimbal control adapter. So I believe this is just an adapter to go to your DJI gimbal, but let's have a look at what we've got in here. So this is the little adapter here. We'll pull this out. Now, this looks like it's a, it's actually got the screws built in so that you can bolt this to the side of your RS2. Haven't actually checked to see if it's compatible with the RS3 Pro yet, but I would assume it is. You got your usual servo control cable for 4 pins. So that can go from your 4 pins, nicely labeled there with the red on the one side, and that will go to your, so I believe there's an adapter to go from your APC-R to your DJI gimbal. And last but not least, the entire brains of the operation. Here is the APC-R. So here we have the APC-R system. Really nicely done on the boxes here. So we've got another 4-pin cable here. We also have a longer cable here as well, which is nice depending on where you need to mount that. You got some antennas in the box here. We'll take this top part off. Here we go. So here is the control box. So you've got the control box there. You've got the antennas on the top, and you've got your Ethernet and control cables coming in the bottom here. Power coming in on USB, auxiliary to power the light on the USB-C there, and you got your S-Bus and your CAN bus system there, as well as an Ethernet port, which is actually a really nice touch, because while the Wi-Fi is super handy, there will be times where Wi-Fi is just not reliable. So being able to have your own Ethernet is actually super handy. So it's such a really nice touch. It actually comes with a bunch of stickers which you can put onto your gimbal or to your controller so that you know which way is the right way for your cable. Because you've got one red cable and the rest are black. So that's actually a really nice touch there. And we get a lovely thank you card from Middle Things as well. But all looks very schmick. Love the logo made in France. So here's the brains. Here is the bit that we're all interested in. So we'll take the antennas out so that we can put them onto the APC-R here. Now obviously good practice to not put the power of these things on without the antenna. So there it is. Here is the APC-R system all built up. All right, so now we're actually talking about the full pan tilt zoom system and the whole system working together. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit hesitant to go out and buy an RS3 Pro and try all the pan tilt zoom functions on this. Because, I mean, it's a brushless gimbal, like there's a whole bunch of things that I'm like, it doesn't seem like it should work. But I went out, I bit the bullet, I bought the system, put the whole thing together, and I've been thoroughly impressed. I've done a lot of gimbal work in my time. I've had months and months and months doing gimbal work for like Big Brother, all those kind of things. And I know a bad gimbal when I see it. And the last thing you want is to have one that you just hate using. And a particular thing that I hate is ones that, you know, you can do fast movements super easily, but can you do really slow movements and really smooth movements easily? And this seems to be able to do both quite well. And it's stabilized. Like, okay, I'm actually been really impressed. But let's have a talk over how all this works and how everything talks together. So obviously, the core brain here is the APC-R. The APC-R is what's talking to the camera and doing a Bluetooth connection to that to be able to do all your color, your focus, iris, all that kind of control there. Using a CAN bus cable, and you can get the gimbal adapter, which can actually bolt straight onto the RS3 Pro here, as well as the RS2. That goes right into there, and that's what's actually powering this device at the moment. So this will run forever. I've got Ethernet plugged in because anytime that you can run Ethernet wherever you can, but this will also work on a 2.4 only Wi-Fi as well, which will give you quite a decent range. And I've got the Tally sitting on here as well. So a quick note about the Tally is, unfortunately, Blackmagic have not opened up the API to be able to control the Tally on the cameras via Bluetooth. Now, it can be done via HDMI or SDI, depending on which camera system you're using, but unfortunately, it's not available on the Bluetooth. So that is why they have this external Bluetooth Tally, so that you can get the Tally from the ATEM itself. So that's one sad thing about this system, but unfortunately, it's just a limitation for Blackmagic. Doing a lot of different tests with the Bluetooth, it's actually been rock solid. You turn the camera on, boom, it comes straight back up. Don't have to reconnect every time. It just works, which has been really good. I was a bit worried about that if it wasn't going to work. It was going to be unstable, you have to connect all the time, but it's been solid. So this is the brains of this system, talking to the gimbal and talking to the camera. So that's how all this is working. Now I've got the middle control here, and this is actually a really, really cool system. It's really customizable. You can adjust buttons and dials however you want. But one of the most important things is that you've got things like pan tilt speed and zoom speed. So you can actually adjust going from like a really slow movement to something that's super fast. Now that is something that you won't get on the Blackmagic panel. Now this does actually work on the Blackmagic panel. So you can actually control your zoom focus and such on the panel, but you are limited to whatever zoom speed you've set on the gimbal control and the middle control software. So just something to keep in mind. So definitely worth actually spending the extra and getting this controller. And also it's actually got quite a lot of other options. You can talk to the ATEM, you can talk to other different bits of software, and you can adjust, like you can adjust audio in here, you can adjust your iris, you can set up a couple of different cameras and say, cool, my camera 1 has the PTZ, but the camera 2, 3, and 4 are just normal cameras, but I can still adjust my iris. So this actually becomes just an all-in-one CCU panel as well as a pan tilt control as well. So highly recommend it. It's actually come out really nice. Now, one of the most important things to keep in mind about this whole system is that everything runs through apps. Now, the middle control here, that runs through an app called Glue, and that's the one that you can control everything on. And the APCR runs on an app called Middle Control. Now, these have to be running on a computer on your control network, which is connected to the ATEM. That's how everything talks together. And while it is a little bit annoying, it also does make sense because the ATEMs only have a certain number of connections that you connect to the ATEM itself. So I've got an ATEM Mini sitting here, and from memory, you have about 4 connections you can use. So I've got the software control, the panel here, and the middle control app. So that's almost all of them taken. But if I had multiple APCRs, multiple cameras sitting around, I don't have a limit then in terms of how many cameras I can run wirelessly or run gimbals on. So because there's only one connection from the app itself to the ATEM. So that is actually a good part of all, so that you can actually just go, cool, I need to have multiple connections going to the ATEM and not have to worry about those extra connections. So something to keep in mind there. So this middle control is run by USB. So the USB cable is running to this laptop here, and that is what's sitting on the network. So all these things are all networked together, and they're all talking really nicely. And it's been solid. Every time I've come and play with it, it's just worked every time. So absolutely loving that. But let's have a look at the gimbal side now. So I went and purchased the RS3 Pro gimbal combo. So what that came with was obviously the stand, the battery, the gimbal itself, but the extra bit that came with is the Raven, which is the active tracker. So if you've got a video signal going into it, it can look at the signal and see, oh, there's a person there, so I'm just going to track that person. So you can actually set up a button here, for example, and say, boom, okay, start tracking that person in shot, and you can walk away. Now, it's not perfect, but if it's something that you just need to follow something that's happening, it will work. It's also got a motor here. Now this motor can actually have multiple roles. You can do a focus or it can do zoom. Actually, in theory, it could also do iris as well, but it's not going to talk in iris terms. So what I've done here is I've actually gone and put the motor on the zoom there. So you can see that I'm able to zoom in and out on that lens. And it's actually quite smooth. And what's also impressive is that this whole system is silent. The only noise I'm hearing is actually from the lens itself expanding and retracting there. So quite impressive there. In theory, this is a full pan tilt zoom focus iris system. So I have full iris control through the ATEM software, and I have full focus control through the EF lens motor here. And if you've got a Micro Four Thirds lens, if you have a motorized servo for the focus as well, that will also work. So I can actually go and adjust my focus here, which is really, really cool. So I wanted to show you a potential use case of the system. Now, let's say you're at a festival, you're at a venue where you want to get like a high wide shot up out of the way, that you're limited resources in terms of like scaffolding and options like that. So why don't you just put it on a stand? So literally I've just got a big stand here with a spigot, and I've just screwed the system on there. And this is running completely wirelessly. I've got the APCR sitting on the side here, just connected to Wi-Fi. And I'll put this up and I'll show you what kind of shots we can get out of this. Now, this is obviously, you can do this with an old PTZ, but this is actually a stabilized gimbal. So buffeting in the wind, anything like that, you should get silky smooth shots anyway. So check it out. So I've got a full extension at the moment. It is swaying in the wind and the footage is looking silky smooth.
yeah, even at 70 mil, it is still super strong, which is pretty awesome. Obviously, it is moving, so it is going to move left and right in the wind, but this gives you an idea about how powerful this really is.
It just really opens up so many possibilities of I need a camera somewhere, I need to be able to control it, and I wanted to be able to do it wirelessly or with minimal wires and just know that it's going to work. You could attach this to a buggy or a car. You can put this on a truss. You could put this anywhere because the whole thing's actually quite light as well, and you get that still that cinematic look of the Blackmagic cameras. So really impressive there. All right, now the other really awesome way that you can use this system is actually as a wireless telemetry or CCU system for any of the Blackmagic cameras with Bluetooth. So your Ursa Broadcast, your Ursa Mini Pro, your Pocket 6K, say you've got a Steadicam operator, a handheld operator, jib, something that is not easily able to be run by cable, and you want to be able to give them full camera control, you can use this as a wireless camera control system, and it actually works really well. So in this situation, I'm going to show you how we set that up, how we get that working, and how we get that talking to the ATEM ecosystem here. Now, something to keep in mind is this does have Wi-Fi control, but to be able to get Wi-Fi connected, you have to be able to have it plugged into USB to adjust those settings. So just something to keep in mind there. So USB into the computer, and we can jump into the software now and have a look. So when you look at your middle control software, I already have it connected, but I can show you the setup process here. So in the APCR setup, on the bottom, it's got USB here, and we can come in and change the name, change the camera number. The camera number can obviously be done in the app as well. So if you need to change it on the fly, that's super easy. And that the app will also do the connection between the camera and the APCR itself. But what we're working on right now is connecting this to the middle control app as well as the ATEM itself. So we can use Ethernet, so we can go Ethernet in there and then we can adjust our IP if we need to, or we can just use DHCP. And same thing with Wi-Fi, we can use static or DHCP there. And then this is where we put in our SSID and password. I've just made a temporary one here for the test here. And then we can go in here and save settings. Now this is already connected via Wi-Fi, but just wanted to show you that there. And this actual status box here is super helpful to be able to check, is it connected, what's happening here. So we've got an IP address, we've got the Bluetooth is not connected, so we'll show you that soon. LAN connection is via Wi-Fi, it's showing me a Wi-Fi level there. Not connected to CAN bus, so it's not connected to the gimbal, and it's got a serial number there as well. The other thing to check while we're here is make sure that this software is actually connected to the ATEM Mini. So I've got that connected, it's got a little picture and a green light, so we're all good there. And we can also control which network port we want that to come through. So right now I've got it on my wired connection, but I can use Wi-Fi as well. So obviously, but wired connection is preferred wherever possible. So now I'm going to unplug this from the USB so that we can show you this is actually wireless. I'm just going to plug in a power bank so that we can get this powered up. And now we are completely wireless. Now we've got the tally here so that we can use an external tally because unfortunately it doesn't talk to the tally on the camera itself, which is a Blackmagic limitation. But here we are. So I'm going to turn on the camera now. So we need to be able to use an iOS app. So unfortunately it's only iOS at the moment. They may be working on a different one, but iOS app to be able to control the APCR to connect Bluetooth to the camera itself. So I've gone and loaded the middle setup app so that I can talk to the APCR here. So I've already got the controller, which is popped up here. I can click on the controller and it's going to come through and start scanning for the camera. So I'm going to go into this camera. There's a few cameras turned on at the moment, so I have to make sure I go to the right one. I'm going to go to my setup and I'm going to scroll across to the page for Bluetooth. So the Bluetooth name for this camera is this one here, so it ends in CE. So I just went through and cleared all the paired devices on the camera just in case there was some mismatch going on. So now I'm going to hit connect and it's going to want me to put a passcode in. So I'll just put the password in and now we're connecting. And we are now connected between the camera and the APCR itself, which is super awesome. And in here, I can also go through and adjust my camera number if I need to, but I'll just keep that as camera 1. So now we're connected. So we can go and check to see if we have control now. So I will go through and get this up and running. But I jump in my software control here, and I now have full iris control everything all up and running there. Got my gain control, and I can even go through and adjust my colors. And this is actually quite fast as well. It's polling really quickly. But I now have full telemetry control. And if I go to so my tally is currently green, and if I cut between preview program, you can see that I'm getting tally there. And when there's nothing on air, it goes to a yellow, just shows that it's on. But this can be put anywhere in a good visible spot for your operator. So there we have it. We now have a fully wireless camera. Now, obviously you can put in a wireless video transmitter on the back if you want to actually get the picture out of here. But for a camera operator, you could have this sitting in a backpack or something. Now, obviously you do want to make sure that your 2.4 gig Wi-Fi is really good in the venue or the area you're in. But you can now walk around and get full telemetry control anywhere that you're on 2.4 gig Wi-Fi, and obviously where you got video signal as well. So there we have it. Honestly, I'm actually really impressed with this whole system. It's exceeded my expectations in more than one way. I didn't think this was going to work, but it works really well. My original goal was actually to use this just for the wireless camera control, for doing things like Steadicam, etc. But that's just been another really cool feature about it. So now I've got a fully wireless camera control, I've got a CCU system as well as pan tilt system in this controller, and I've got a pan tilt zoom system which is stabilized, which I can put anywhere. I can run it over network, I can run it over Wi-Fi. Look, I'll be honest, I'm actually really impressed overall. The build quality is great, the support's been great. There's a few questions I've had to ask them and they've been really quick to get back to me. And overall, I can really recommend this system. It's come together really nicely, it's all really well built. And the fact that it all just talks in the whole ecosystem of Blackmagic is really, really nice to me. So I hope this was helpful for you. I had a lot of fun making this. There was so many things, I'm like, there's so many things I want to show you, but hopefully I've condensed it down enough in a way that you can actually follow along and see just how cool this system really is. So if you want to go grab one for yourself, go to middlethings.co, check out their website. You can buy the APC-R, the middle controller here, and all the little accessories to get you up and running. So highly recommend it, go get it for yourself. And if you've got one yourself or if you've been playing with it, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see what you're using them on. And hopefully I'll be using this on a gig soon. I'll be able to put up a video showing this in action because it's actually really cool. I've got a few ideas of things like putting in a drum booth, for example, if you want to get like a drum cam and be able to zoom focus and get some really cool angles from in there. The fact that it's stabilized means that you're not gonna have to worry about the whole stage shaking, things like that, which you would have to worry about on a traditional pan tilt zoom system. Things like putting this on a chase car. If you're doing a track of some sort and you want to be able to get a moving shot over the track, this will be stabilized and you get to see the full system and the full control as well. So there's a lot of cool things I want to play with this with. Obviously the wireless control with Steadicam, etc. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And a big thank you to the team at Middle Things for actually sending these out for me to review. I had a lot of fun with it, and thank you so much for your support as well. Hope this is helpful, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.